that is going to happen in future. If you're prepared to carry your cross, that is fine. So she said she asked me if I wanted to do another test. I said yes. Saturday, Sunday, this weekend, oh my God. This was the longest weekend in my life. Like, I have never seen a Saturday and Sunday that was this long. I kept waiting and waiting for it to pass away, so that Monday will come and maybe they will call me, or I call them and ask them what is the result of the test. So on Tuesday, I got the call from the hospital. Immediately I got the call, my heart skipped. In fact, if it was possible, if it was possible to have a miscarriage while standing receiving that call, I would have had that miscarriage. Because when I got the call and put it, immediately I heard the lady's voice, I recognized her voice. Immediately I heard her voice, my God, my heart shook. I was already, my feet could not even carry me. I had to sit down. And then she came and she sounded very, very excited. I was like, okay, what's coming again? And then she said to me, "Hi Dora, good news. The result of your test has just come out, and luckily for you, you don't stand a chance anymore of getting this, of being in this situation or having or whatever." I was like, how? What happened? What changed? She said that in most cases, when they do the test the first time, just like they did it for me before, that sometimes it will come out saying that yes, the person stands, is at high risk of having that. And then when they redo the test, it can come out saying, oh, negative, everything is clear. There is no chance of having the baby, of having such a child. Or they can do it and they'll say, oh yeah, it still stands positive, and then they'll tell you what steps to take. But in my case, that it came out saying negative, which means I do no longer stand the chance of having a child in such a category. And I was like, what? I was happy. Oh my God. I just dropped the phone and I was like, you mean it? I couldn't just understand what changed or what happened. But all I knew was that I was free from that, because I went through a lot of emotional stress. Oh my God, I was not myself that period. And here the results turned over. I was not myself, but I was very, very happy. So that one passed away. And then along the line, I kept going for my antenatal. Everything was well. This time around, I had peace in me because I felt, okay, what could be worse than this? It's something I have never heard of before. At least I was able to conquer this one. Let's keep going. And then my pregnancy progressed and progressed. And I noticed that unlike my other pregnancies, I used to feel very weak. This particular pregnancy, I have never been weak like this before. Like, I could still do a lot of things. I was still very active, but it took me a lot. Like, it took a lot from me, a lot of energy from me, a lot of, I don't know, there was a lot that left me. Sometimes I will stand and I will be shaking. At times I will just stand and I feel dizzy. And I'm like, what's happening? Yeah, what's happening? It's not like I'm hungry. It's not like I feel like sleeping. Not like I feel sleepy at that time I want to go to bed. No, but I just knew that something was not right somewhere. So I tried to make myself active at all times so that I don't get weak and just be sleeping up and down. But it was not so easy. So each time I go for my antenatal or for scans and all, maybe just to see the doctors, they always talk about age. And I'm like, what is all this age? It's not like I'm that old. In my early 40s. But back then in Nigeria, we have women that give birth even 45, 43, they are giving birth. 45, 47, women are still getting pregnant. So why is my own different? Why am I always reminded about age? Anyway, along the line, my blood sugar, my sugar level was high. Another issue. As my sugar level was high, I had to start seeing some consultants, diabetes specialists and all that were giving me advice on what to eat, what to avoid, how to test myself. I was given this special diabetes sugar kit to monitor my blood sugar and all of that. And I was like, oh my God, what is all this? I just felt like a lot was just, I just felt like it was just too much, man. Too much things to avoid, too many things to look out for. Like my first pregnancy, I wasn't even bothered. I didn't even know what was which is which, what is what. All I know is I will go for antenatal, they will check everything, I will come out and go home, go for antenatal, check everything. There was no single report about anything anyway. There was no test that ever came out and said any funny thing. Like I never got any bad news or any news that kept me, made me have sleepless nights. Everything was rosy, everything was well. But this particular one, it was just like each time I go to the hospital, I must come back with something. I must hear something. They must warn me about how to stay away from something or how to stick to something. Because my blood sugar was high, the sugar level in my body was high. At some point when I was about 37 weeks, I was told by the consultants at the hospital that because my sugar is high, I would not be able to carry my pregnancy to full term, to like the very, very full term, to 40 or 41 weeks. That when I'm 39 weeks, they would like to induce me. So I asked why. And they said, the thing is that as from 39 weeks upwards, you are safe for induction. It is still very safe. The child has finished forming, everything is in place, organ is working properly and all that. So it's safe to induce a pregnant woman to have the baby. But anything below that, they don't really advise it well. But yeah, as from 39, it's okay. And that why they're doing it is because number one, since my sugar is high, and secondly, it also has to do with my age. They don't want any complication during labor. And I said, my mind, I was like, age again. Okay, so everything now is about age. I said, okay, no problem. So everything was going on well. My pregnancy was going on well. And then I was waiting for this 39th week. Because at some point, even at my 30, 35, 36, 37 weeks, I was very, very uncomfortable. I was already tired of being pregnant. I was already weak because I was always weak. I was constantly tired. So I just felt like, God, I can't just wait to just have the baby. Let me just rest. Enough of this, hearing things about age, like every little thing is your age, every little thing is your age. I was like, enough. Let me just have the child and let me just be. Let me just rest. And 39 weeks came and I was booked for my induction and I went, and the day I was supposed to be induced was a Friday. On getting there to the hospital for my induction, I was told that there were a lot of other people who were like on the priority list. They were already very close to labor, so they had to attend to them first. Because I wasn't really close to labor, I was still just 2 centimeters dilated. I was not yet there. Meanwhile, there were people that were already in like 9 centimeters, 10 centimeters, ready to have their babies. So they had to attend to them first. So my own appointment was like pushed behind a little bit. But I wasn't sent home. I was still given a bed space in the hospital because they discovered that since I had sugar issues and they just felt like they should just just put me there and place me under close observation until they're able to get a space for me, and then I go for my own. And that very Friday when I went to the hospital, the doctor, after assessing me, checking how many centimeters dilated I was, she asked me if I wanted a membrane sweep. Now, a membrane sweep is the process whereby the doctor checks your cervix to find out how dilated it is, and they kind of perform a sweep. Like they kind of like turn around your pelvic area, the cervix side, and this kind of forces labor contraction to come on its own in a more natural way. rather than putting artificial things or using artificial method to induce you into having a baby, is to induce you or force your body into labor. So she asked me if I wanted that. At that point, I wanted anything, honestly. I just wanted to have the baby. So every option was okay for me, as long as it was going to make me get into labor as fast as possible, have a baby, and just rest, because I was tired. And so she did. And immediately she did that, she told me before then that once I do this, you will not be able to go home. We will keep you under close observation. I said, fine, just keep me here. And then after she did that, that's it. I was admitted in the hospital, and that was on a Friday. The whole of Friday, I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel any contraction. I didn't even feel like labor was close at all. I was still walking around with my waist paining me. This was one of the pregnancies where I had serious waist pain, like massive waist pain. I was walking around with my waist pain. I was walking around with my huge tummy. In fact, it was very inconveniencing, but I had hope, because I knew that any moment from then I was going to see my baby. Then Saturday came, and yet I was not being attended to. I wasn't called in for induction because of, there was a lot of queue of people that had a higher priority than me that were to be attended to. So on Saturday night, I was just sleeping at about 3 a.m. midnight, or is it morning, early morning. I woke up to use the toilet, and I noticed that I was in severe pain, and this pain was different from other pains I felt during my pregnancy. So I knew something was wrong somewhere. I knew something changed, but I really did not place my hand on it, and it was severe. Like when you have period pain, but the pain is like ×4. That was what happened. And I said to myself, I think labor is somewhere around the corner. And at that point, I called the midwives on duty, on night shift. They came, gave me paracetamol, and then they went to call the doctor on shift, and doctor told me, yeah, that this is definitely a sign of labor. And on Sunday, being the next morning, the contractions were real. It was painful. It was regular. And that was exactly what they wanted. They wanted the contractions to be regular before they will now know that, yes, I was very, very close to labor. At this point, I was just 3 centimeters dilated when I was having all these issues. So the doctor told me that they want me to get to at least 4 centimeters dilated first before they can now say, okay, fine, we're about to get into labor. That once I get to 4 centimeters dilated, then they can, move on to the next step. And I was like, God, I'm in pains. Like, how long am I going to wait to move from 3 centimeters to 4 centimeters? And the next day, being Sunday, I was just in one of the rooms there, the ward where I was given temporarily, when they came to call me to say, oh yeah, it's my turn to go and have my baby. It's my turn. So when I left there, I went to the labor room, and the midwife explained to me that she was going to break my waters, because at that time my waters wasn't broken, and I was only just 3 to 4. I think at that time I was now 4 centimeters. My water was not broken yet. So she broke my waters. And in fact, that was the first time I knew what this breaking of water was actually all about, because in my first 2 pregnancies, I doubt if I experienced it. I'm not sure the waters broke on its own. I don't even know how it broke. I don't know what happened. Anyway, so she broke my waters, and I remember asking her, I said, how long will it take before labor starts? She said, well, it depends, that every pregnancy is different. That after breaking my waters does not mean that I will get into labor as soon as possible. Sometimes it can still take 24 hours. I was like, 24 hours again? I'm tired. I want to have this baby. I was just tired. And she was still observing me, monitoring, my sugar level, monitoring my blood pressure, monitoring things. And while she was doing all this, not up to 35 minutes later, contractions started in a very big way. Like, it was painful. It was very, very, very difficult to hold. I was in tears. I was crying because I knew that this is it. Like any moment from now, something should be happening. So she noticed that, yes, this is the time. We are getting there. And just when I was just like, I don't think I can push you. I don't think I'm very weak. My waist is paining me. I feel like going to the toilet. She said, if you feel like going to the toilet, then that means you're ready to have your baby. Just push. Try. Whatever happens. If it comes out, fine. If it doesn't, yeah, then we can still wait. And that was when I started pushing and pushing and pushing. And at some point, I was weak. And at some point, I was like, God, what if I don't have the strength to push again? Because I exhausted all the energy I had just pushing. I said, what if I don't have the strength to push again? What happens? And while I was lying there, within me, at some point, I was even considering a CS. Because I was like, if I am too weak to push, the other option is just to have a cesarean operation. Because really, you can't push when you don't have strength. And as God would have it, I pushed and pushed. I did the best I could, and the baby came out. And when the baby came out, initially I didn't even know the baby was out. I was still pushing. Baby was already out. I was still pushing. And they were telling me, then I was hearing voices, because as at that time, I had this gas and air in me. You know that gas and air, the one you inhale, you breathe in to the kind of, it makes you dizzy, you know. So I had it in me. I was already dizzy. I've already gone far. I didn't know that they were telling me, your baby is here, baby is here, baby is here. It was when I opened my eyes and I saw that they placed my baby on my chest. That was when I stopped pushing, because I was like, oh, baby is already here. Meanwhile, I was still pushing. And, you know, at that point, immediately I saw my baby, and the first 1 minute, I didn't hear baby's voice. Baby did not cry. I was like, hope nothing is wrong. And while they were cleaning the baby on me and, you know, trying to clean off all the rubbish that came out from the body, baby cried. I was like, yes, God has finally done it. And that was when I got strength from nowhere. That was when I smiled for the first time in how many hours, because prior to that delivery, it was all pain, like my face was squeezed. I just, you know, when you just frown for days. But that time I smiled. I was happy. I knew that, yes, you've done it. You've tried. Your baby is here. I was happy. I was just overwhelmed. I said, thank God, at least this journey is over. Let me rest small. And that was it. My baby was put on my chest. I carried my baby in my hands. And I was just so excited. I didn't even know what, at that point, I didn't know what I was thinking again. But I was just glad that the journey was over. I was just glad that the whole thing had finally come to an end. My baby was born safe and sound. I came out of this whole thing alive and happy. And I really thank God about it, because it can only be God. And also through the help of the health practitioners. They were professionals. The midwives were, I give it to them. Honestly, there is nothing as good as knowing what you're doing. When you are good at your job, when you are good at what you do, even in the face of adversaries, you are not moved. There is no sign of fear in you. There is no sign, because at some point during the labor, I was looking at this midwife's face. You know, sometimes I was looking at her face for reassurance. I was looking at her face for hope. Like, you know, I was looking for answers through her face, through her facial impressions, to know, is there any problem? Is anything wrong? Will I survive this? But her face throughout was reassuring. There was no sign of fear in her. And that gave me confidence to know that, yes, I think I'm in safe hands. So that was exactly what happened during my pregnancy, through delivery. And now to the question, if I would love to do this again in this stage of my life, like in my 40s, well, if I had not had babies in the past, assuming I've not had babies, I've not had children at all, and then I got to my 40s, and you ask me if I want to have a baby in my 40s, at least my first child while I'm 40 something, of course I will say yes, why not? Definitely I would want to have, even if it's just one child, I want to have, no matter the risk involved, I want to have the child. But right now, after having children, and if I'm asked if I want to do it again at this age, I think it's something I need to sit down and think well. I will really think it thoroughly, because the risk involved in having children, or rather being pregnant at an older age, is something you really need to consider thoroughly, something you need to think through very well. Yeah, because age matters. I'm not saying it's not doable. It is very, very much doable. It's possible to be pregnant in your 40s, in your late 40s. It's very much possible. But the side effects, the challenges that comes with it is another thing one should consider. Now, not everybody stands the risk of having these challenges. Not everybody, definitely not everybody. There are some women that will just, even in their 40s, in their late 40s, they could get pregnant and just have the baby like they were 20 something. They will have a baby as if they were just in their 20s or early 30s. So smooth, no stress, no problem, no challenges, no health scare, nothing at all. It's still very possible for such to happen. But on the other hand, it's also very possible for you to go through a lot of age-related challenges during pregnancy, because at that point, your body is not really the same as it used to be when you were much younger. So if you want to have babies, or you want to get pregnant from this age upwards, it's something you will sit down and discuss with your health practitioner, your doctor. Let them know. They would, based on how old you are, on your age, they would tell you the processes to go through, what to avoid, what to do, the challenges around it, and also there are benefits of having children in your early 40s. Because I've also seen women say things like they had kids in their early 40s and they do not regret it, because like a particular woman said, one of the reasons why she waited intentionally till she got to this age to start having kids is because she wanted to be financially stable. She did not want to bring kids into the world and the children will have to suffer because she's not stable enough financially to cater for them. So whatever floats your boat is very, very fine. That was my own personal experience. Your experience might not be the same with mine. Yours might be much easier, you understand? So yeah, if you want to try to have a baby or to get pregnant in your 40s, be it early 40s, mid 40s, late 40s, even in your 50s, nothing stops you from doing that. Thank you very much for joining me. Thank you very much for watching my video, and I hope to see you in my next video. Take care.